And my daughter fought for a long time with extreme mental health, borderline personality disorder, other things.
Most of us know Martin Short as the man who makes the whole room laugh. The comedian, the performer, the guy who seems completely unbreakable. But in May of this year, he sat down for an interview and said something that stopped everyone cold. He said, "Dad, let me go." Those were the words he imagined his daughter Katherine saying to him. And today, we're going to talk about what that means and why it matters so much more than a headline. Before anything else, let's talk about Katherine Short. She was 42 years old, a social worker, someone who spent her life helping others navigate their pain, which, when you learn what she was carrying herself, makes her story even more profound. She was the eldest of 3 children Martin had with his wife, Nancy Dolman, the love of his life, who passed away from ovarian cancer back in 2010. Katherine had 2 brothers, Oliver Patrick and Henry Hayter, and by every account, she was beloved. Genuinely, deeply loved. When she passed in February, Martin's team released a statement saying she would be remembered for the light and joy she brought into the world. That's not PR language. That's a father who lost his daughter. Here's what we know. On February 23rd, Martin grew worried when he hadn't heard from Katherine in over 24 hours. That's the kind of quiet, gnawing concern that any parent would recognize. He asked a friend to go check on her. When that friend arrived at her home, they found notes believed to be written by Katherine and called 911. She had died by suicide. Now, I want to pause here, because the next part of this story is actually the most important part. Not the details, not the circumstances, but what her father said afterward. In May, Martin Short sat down with CBS News Sunday Morning. And he didn't hide. He didn't deflect. He didn't speak in vague terms. He said, and I want to read this carefully because every word matters. The understanding is that mental health and cancer, like my wife's, are both diseases. And sometimes with diseases, they are terminal. Think about that for a second. He's not calling his daughter weak. He's not calling her a tragedy. He's calling her illness exactly what it was. A disease. One that she fought for a long time. He said Katherine lived with borderline personality disorder and extreme mental health struggles, and that she did the best she could until she couldn't. And then he drew the most heartbreaking parallel. He said his late wife Nancy's last words to him were, "Martin, let me go." And what Katherine was saying, back in her own way, was the same thing. "Dad, let me go." One father, 2 great loves, 2 diseases, 2 losses. And instead of retreating into grief quietly, on which no one would blame him for, he chose to speak publicly. Because he said he wanted to help take away the stigma of mental health conditions. He said, and this is the line I keep coming back to, not hiding from the word suicide, but accepting that this can be the last stage of an illness. That is one of the most compassionate, courageous things a grieving parent has ever said publicly, and I think it deserves to be heard. Here's why I wanted to make this video. We talk about mental illness differently than we talk about other illnesses. If someone dies of cancer, we say they lost their battle. We send flowers, we hold their family, we don't ask questions, but suicide, we still whisper it. We still look for someone to blame. We still treat it like a failure of the person, of their family, of someone who should have done more. Martin Short is saying, stop that. His daughter wasn't a failure. She was sick. She fought hard. She was loved completely. And she still lost. The same way people lose to cancer, to heart disease, to any illness that takes everything you have and eventually takes more. If you have someone in your life struggling with their mental health, a friend, a child, a parent, a partner, please hear this. You cannot love someone into healing. You can only love them while they fight. And that is enough. That has to be enough. Martin Short loved Katherine. Completely, visibly, actively. He noticed when she went quiet for 24 hours. He sent someone to check on her. He did everything right. And he still lost her. That's not a reason for guilt. That's the brutal, honest reality of serious mental illness. Katherine Short was a social worker who spent her life helping people through their hardest moments. I hope in some small way her story, and her father's courage in telling it, helps someone watching this feel a little less alone. If you're struggling right now, please reach out. You can call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, it's confidential, and it's there for you. If this video meant something to you, please share it. Not for the views, but because someone in your life might need to know that what they're carrying has a name, and that name isn't weakness. Take care of yourselves and each other.